Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your host, Jake and Scott. And this time we bring you some holiday cheer as we talk about what's coming up with Christmas and Hanukkah and the New Year's and how you should host. So sit back and buckle into the latest episode of the Bourbon Lens. We are excited to welcome Jennifer Bryan to the podcast today. She is the author of the Classic Cocktail Revival. She also is owner of Muddle cocktail kits and more. So Jennifer, thank you for spending a few minutes with us this holiday season.
Absolutely. Thanks y'all for having me on. It's so good.
We're really excited about it. We have heard about the book. We've seen about the book for quite a while, and now we get to enjoy a conversation about that. But before we get into the book, which should be a gift for that last-minute holiday gift that you need, and so when you download the Bourbon Lens today, run out, grab this book, and put in a stocking stuffer for your favorite cocktail person or the bourbon guy who doesn't know how to make a cocktail, like myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For the people like Jake in the world.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
I know what I need. I need a help when it comes to
That's
making
right.
cocktails.
Yeah.
Right. You mean it's more than just ice? That's
It is more than just
You're
ice.
right.
And, there's a nice ingredient list here in the front. So, what you need to create the craft bar experience for the Classic Cocktail Revival. But before we get into there, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into cocktail creation and bartending and all of that fun stuff?
Absolutely. I have been in the hospitality industry for about 30 years. I started as a luxury caterer back in the day and had a really lovely group of clients that would call me if they wanted, an 8-course dinner for 10 people. That was my lane. And then, catering is the hardest work I know. So I moved from that into event planning because really what I wanted to do was set a table and organize some, arrange some flowers. So I did that for a long time, and then I was really beginning to see the need for signature cocktails, and folks were wanting specialty cocktails to elevate their events. And it really kind of was just, it was a very smooth transition from culinary into beverage. And about 10 years ago, I created a syrup for National Whiskey Sour Day because I traditionally hated whiskey sours. They were just gross and, just metallic. I mean, there was just an awful flavor to them. I'd never had a good one. So I did a cherry vanilla syrup for that. And my BFF and I had it. And she was like, go write that on that card over there for me, that recipe card on my bar. And I went over there and there were just recipes written all over a piece of my stationery. The picture of that is actually at the back of the book. And I thought, I should do a cookbook for her for Christmas. And then when I started writing the book, I was like, oh, no, I should do a cocktail cookbook. And then, I did the book, and the original iteration of the book was not what this is. It was very, it was more Martha Stewart. It was a little more buttoned up. It was, it was Gatherings in the Bluegrass was what it was called back then. And then I had queried some agents, and they had great feedback, but they were like, the book's not ready yet. So I was married at the time, and I asked my husband, what he thought I should do with it. And he said, you should contact our friend Brent, who we had always tweaked each other's recipes over the years. So when I reached out to Brent, he was like, yeah, I'd love to take a look at it. So when we started working on the cookbook, we realized instantly that it wasn't a cookbook, it was a business. And Muddle was born out of that. And we are cocktail evangelists here to spread the good news about booze. So Muddle then became a company that was just spirits and cocktail related. We did cocktail education, we did spirits education and tasting, sensory trainings. I'm an executive bourbon steward. I had been doing bourbon tastings in my event business over the years. And then, we developed a line of mixers. And my business coach was like, I need you to pick a lane. You're doing a whole lot of things. Pick a lane. So we picked product because we can monetize product. So that's how Muddle was born. And in 2022, we were the official cocktail sponsor of the Kentucky Derby Festival, which was just lovely. And then Brent decided that he was ready to step away. He had a young daughter at the time and was wanting to spend more time with her and be involved with his family. And so I bought him out of the business. And there was a few months of just not really sure where I wanted to go with the business next. So I have had the great fortune of when things are weird in my life and I'm not really sure which way to go, I am able to sink into my creativity. And the book called to me at that point. And I sat down in September of that year and completely rewrote the book in about 2 weeks and knew exactly what it needed to be. And had a publisher a week after that. And it was absolute kismet. It was absolute flow. It just was the right time for all of it. And then the book was born. So here we are.
Scott, I wish I had that creativity. Me and you talk and we talk and we talk and we're like, what's the next podcast? I don't know.
You gotta brainstorm with cocktails, right?
Yes.
That's right. That's
Helps get
exactly
everything
right.
flowing again.
Little lubrication. That's right.
There you go.
Oh man. I feel like this is probably one of the biggest endeavors that people can do. I don't know, like I'm not the best writer in the world, but to sit down and orchestrate your thoughts in a way that people are going to pick up something and that they're going to read it. And the only way that you're going to change this is if you go back and you rewrite something and then print some more. And so like the fine details and the articulation and the right pictures and the right framing, like all of that has to be a lot. So not to bore people too much, but like I've never really asked an author, how did you create the book itself, right? Because there's a lot of imagery in here. There's a lot of, really nuanced recipes. Like I just opened up to the blueberry lemon slush. Like that's a really nuanced type of cocktail. But can you talk a little bit about how do you create the imagery and the things like that go into such a visual book that you have to create when it comes to cocktails?
Absolutely. So, the being a small business owner, you wear all the hats, right? And I have always worn all the hats. Photography has been a passion of mine over the years. So I had always photographed what I was doing, right? Whatever, if I had created a cocktail or whatever it was like, well, that's gorgeous. Let's take a picture of that. That's just sexy. Let's just put, that cherry pick is it's just giving life. Let's take a picture of that, put it on social media. Yeah. So I had a pretty big collection of photography already. And then the recipes, really, it's just curiosity. It's walking into a recipe, a classic cocktail recipe of any kind and going, I wonder what would happen if I substituted X for Y, And so when that starts to happen, the book is organized. Education is really important to me. It is important to me to empower people about what they like and why they like it. And there's no shame in anything anybody wants to drink. I don't care what it is. There's no shame. So when I started looking at master recipes for these things, I love Julia Child, and The Way to Cook cookbook was laid out like that. It was master recipes for all of these beautiful mother sauces, that Escoffier had done, and all of her beautiful recipes. And once you get that master recipe, it really opens the door for all sorts of creativity and being able to put what you like into a recipe. So at the beginning of all of the chapters in the book, I talk about what are the foundational ingredients of this. An old fashioned is spirit and sweet and water and bitters, and that's it. And you can substitute anything for any of those that you like. So, that was, how I came at it. And really, that's how I come at all classic cocktail recipes. I want to empower people to have a 3 or 4 ingredient cocktail, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, no matter how sophisticated their training has been or not, how sophisticated their palate is or not. I want them to have the tools to create wonderful things that speak to them.
I think that was one of the things that I like most about the book is it tries to take away that barrier to creation, right? So it's like, here are the basics. Like you can go off the wall, like you can do that if you want to, but we're going back to the basics and breaking it down. And then you can start to play with those. Once you get these, you can start to branch out and do more wild, crazy syrups and bitters and everything else. But yeah, as the base, it just breaks it down to just to remove the barrier, I guess you could say. Because a lot of people, they've got cocktail ingredients, but they don't know what to do with them. They don't know what tools they need. I think that's another thing is like people think you have to have all these tools to make great cocktails, which you really don't. You can stir with a spoon. You don't You don't need
or a
a big,
chopstick, which has
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
A straw that I found in, wherever. I mean,
yeah.
it
You
doesn't have to be
definitely,
something.
yeah, you definitely don't need hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Go spend that
Hmm.
money on the spirit. Make sure that you get
Absolutely.
good quality ingredients, but
Mm.
you
Hmm.
don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on a nice cocktail shaker when you could just use a large pitcher or
That's
something,
right.
a mixing glass.
Hmm. Even your insulated mugs, those work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Hmm.
and like it's taking something that seems so like frightening to make at home, like simple syrup,
Hmm.
even, right? That
Hmm.
is called for in a lot of different ingredients, and how you can take such a simple ingredient and make it better. And literally, it's called simple syrup because it is really simple to make. It does not take a long period of time.
That's right.
Now, you better be ready to use the ingredient because it's fresh and doesn't have emulsifiers and all these other things in it, right? That will
That's right.
keep the party going. And that's interesting to me. Like, I think cocktail, when you watch a cocktail be made by the high level cocktail
Hmm.
creation folks, bartenders, mixologists, whatever you want to call them, it looks fancy and it looks elevated. But just get your hands dirty and try to figure it out yourself, I think is probably the big thing.
And the permission to fail, which is just a part of any creative endeavor. It doesn't matter if you're cooking or making cocktails or making art or writing failure is an integral part of the process. I cannot count the drain pours that I've had over the years. You take a sip of it, you're like, well, that's trash. There's no helping that. Like there's
there's
no
no
tweaking.
redeeming.
That just needs to go down the drain and start over. So, but it's low stakes. Who cares? It's a cocktail. It's not that deep. It's 2 ounces. Okay.
For sure. Now, I'm going to ask a really funny question because I was thinking about this morning. I was like, what odd question can I come up with? And then I thought about my answer to it. So I'm going to answer my question first and then tell me what
Okay.
you think. So it's like, have you ever been out and you're like, I'm kind of embarrassed to order this, but I'm going to order it anyway because I love the flavor profile. So for me, that is a peach Bellini. I feel like
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of men probably are not calling for that, but like peach Bellini is just pinky out delightfulness. So
Absolutely.
is there something, Scott, even to you, like that you're like, this is going to sound weird when I call for it, but I'm going to do it.
Uh-huh. It's a pina colada every time. I love a pina colada. And my best friend, she gives me such a rash of shit about it every time I order it. She just looks at it. She's like, here we go, the cocktail evangelist ordering the frozen pina colada that they're going to bring her. And it's just delicious. I don't, there's a reason that, it's such a popular cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
And
Scott, you
that
got one?
Bellini's amazing too.
Oh, it's good.
I
It's so good.
I don't really know. I mean, my thing is more about like what glasses it's served in. I don't really care like
Mm.
what the name of the cocktail is. It's like I really don't want to be holding a delicate little coupe.
You don't want
uh,
to coop. You don't want
yeah,
anything stamped. Right.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's like I mean maybe that's kind of what I think about when I'm ordering a cocktail. If I can't tell from whatever is on the menu,
Hmm.
Yeah.
I typically inquire like how's
What
that
do you
served?
guys normally drink? What do you normally, when you go, is it just bourbon rocks, bourbon neats, or what do you like on cocktails?
Uh,
Go ahead, Scott. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a bourbon cocktail, it's going to be an old fashioned. I mean, occasionally I'll order a Manhattan,
Hmm.
maybe after dinner Manhattan, something like
Hmm.
that. But if I'm getting started, it's old fashioned. And then gin and tonic. I mean, I started down the path of gin, so I
Hmm.
kind of loved gin before I loved bourbon. But
I know,
um,
it's a hard part of the country to sell gin to
yeah,
folks. And I'm a big gin fan too. And I mean, I spent most of my life thinking I didn't like gin, and it turns out I just didn't like Tanqueray. So it was once I discovered the botanical lane of gins and Old Tom gin. I mean, there were so many different varieties of gin
yeah.
that it's a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. How about
Uh,
you, Jake?
so I like Scott old fashioned. I like the riffs on the old fashioned, like a Gold Rush, like especially during the summer. I think that's a really great cocktail. Um, I do like when bubbles are integrated into it. I like the effervescence. So like a French 75 is
Hmm.
a really nice cocktail to me. Because a lot of times, like uh, I learned this from one of my fancy friends. So I'm not going to claim that I learned this myself. But like before you go out, like, or while you're out, the first course you should have bubbles to cleanse your palate. And so a lot of times I just don't want to order champagne because a lot of times it's just like a crap champagne that you can get by a glass, or you got to order a bottle, and I'm not going to drink a whole bottle of champagne. So finding an effervescent cocktail, whether bourbon, gin, what have you, I think is great. The one thing that like I tend to avoid is bitterness. I don't necessarily like a lot of vermouth, but I will drink like grapefruit or things like that. So it's the right palette of bitterness that I have to find. So I'm trying to be more exploratory. There was a Manhattan that I enjoyed. Which one was Scott? Not too long ago that I liked. I can't remember. We had somebody on, and I was like, I actually like that Manhattan.
I don't remember. You talking about when Charles was on?
It wasn't when Charles. Me and you we were drinking something. And I was like, it was somebody gave us a black Manhattan when we were out at
a black Manhattan.
My favorite.
Which I like, and I know Peggy No Stevens has done a really good one. That if you want one, called the Peggy Nose out at
Watch Hill. It's
Watch
so
Hill
good.
Proper. Yeah. So I did like that a little bit better, but I tend to stay away from Chinar, whatever it's called, and vermouth.
Okay. All right. That's fair. You get to like what you like, Jake.
That's a great thing because, I just like there's so many bottles that I could pull from like right behind me or right next to me. I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like, and that's fine.
That's exactly right.
I think that's what's beautiful about that. What's your go-to cocktail?
I love a Manhattan, and I'll drink a Manhattan any way you want to give it to me. I love a black Manhattan. I was out at last night. My dad and my sister and I were out at Jack Fry's, and their Malachi's Manhattan is it's just exquisite, and it tasted exactly right. When you got your mouth set for it, you're like you've been thinking about it. You're going to order it, and it comes, and it's exactly right. And yeah, it was lovely. I also absolutely love a filthy dirty martini that's just so cold and blue cheese stuffed olives. I mean, I'm all in. I don't. My favorite place is at a steakhouse to order that right before you get really delicious food.
Yeah. But I was looking through the book and I don't do martinis, but the hottest drink in the world right now is an espresso martini, which has no bitterness. But I'm not a coffee drinker either. But I know that a lot of people love those. And I feel like they are very controversial in the bartending world. What's your take on the espresso martini, the world's hottest drink?
I love them. I think I would drink them. The caffeine would completely wreck me for the night, but I love them. I will make them with any spirit that people want. I mean, I have made them with everything from rum to tequila to, you name it, a barrel aged gin. I mean, they can do anything. Bourbon, of course, vodka, vanilla vodka, you name it. But I think that there tends to be, especially in higher echelons of the cocktail world, that that if it's not this 17 ingredient super sophisticated random spirit choice cocktail, that they're just turning their nose up at daiquiris or bellinis or espresso martinis or any of those things. And they're popular because they're delicious. It's like pumpkin spice. You can call it basic, but it's freaking delicious, and that's why people drink it. So it's the same thing with espresso martinis. They're delicious. Are they basic? Sure, because they're delicious. They're just popular. Yeah. So I think it's so fun though to get into the espresso martini recipe and really start mixing up the spirit and what kind of coffee and what kind of sweet is going in it and all of those things.
I think some of the hatred for espresso martinis came when not every bar was prepared to make an espresso martini.
Yes.
They couldn't pull a shot. So
That's right.
They didn't have the capability, or if they did have the capability to pull a shot, they had to stop what they were doing, go back to the kitchen, pull the shot, come back out, make the cocktail. And they were doing them 1 and 2 off, one-offs here and there. So I think that's kind of where the hatred probably popped up.
Oh, yeah, they're totally fussy. I mean, same thing about a mojito. You're going to order a mojito, and that bartender's going to look at you and wish you straight to hell. That's what that bartender.
We don't have
unless you're a mojito bar.
We don't have.
That's right.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
that's right. But the part of what Making Muddle does, we do menus for bars and restaurants. And my goal is always about support. It's a win-win-win. I want to win for the customer. I want to win for the bartender. I want to win for the owner, for the owners, right? Owner of the bar, owner of the company, because you can batch so many things and people turn their noses up at that so much of the time. But like cold coffee concentrate works fantastic in an espresso martini. And you can buy that shit by the half gallon at Target. Okay. So, I mean, there's no, it doesn't have to be, you can have delicious ingredients that are high quality without it being a 45-step process.
Yeah.
And that is part of what the book is too. Like, it's like, let's simplify this. It's what the product line was about. I want a sophisticated flavor profile in one bottle. I don't want 7 bottles on my bar. I want one bottle that can do all of the spirits. And so it's about the versatility, and it's about resources are so finite in our lives, whatever those resources are, money, time, help, whatever that is. So I want it to be effective for folks and easy for folks to create these really delicious, amazing things, because at the end of the day, what it's really about is about the connection that happens over the pour. Yeah. It's about what happens when you sit down with people you love and have a cocktail. It's the conversation. It's the transition from day to night. It's it's the breath that you take at the end of the day and let all of it go and become present with the person that's sitting across from you. And I think that's the most special thing about cocktails. And it's why I went into it.
So I guess I got a question about the process, right? The process of making the cocktail, because I see cocktail making kind of like a ritual.
Absolutely.
Like coffee making. I make coffee every day, even if I'm not drinking it, it seems. But it's a ritual to prepare the ingredients, to, prep everything and to do it. Now, the balancing act I have is, obviously that's a big part of this. The end result is the drink that you're sharing with friends or family. But how do you balance that ritual part with not standing over a bar the entire time you're entertaining, the party?
So I think that we're looking at two different things, right? And it's the same thing when we start looking at on-premise bars and restaurant establishments, that there's a difference between a home bartender that wants the ritual and ritual, from my perspective, is about connecting our outside world with our inside world, right? Like it is the vehicle that gets us there. It's what it prepares us. It prepares us. We take this physical beat while we are preparing those things to move to a new mental space, right? Now, that's different than my bars and restaurants. My bars and restaurants, they're not here to do a ritual. They're here to expedite as many cocktails as they can in an hour, because we're not making money if we're not selling drinks. So those are two totally different lanes, but when we were doing parties at our houses and we're looking to do batches of we have 50 people coming for an open house and we want to prep all of that. That's not about ritual. That's about expediting cocktails. And so we can batch those things and really simplify our own lives, turn a bar into self-serve without having to be at the bar all night long. We can also help moderate how much alcohol people are doing. That's the other thing I love about batching cocktails. If you have an open bar that's self-serve, self-pour all night, your guests are getting drunker and drunker as the night goes on. And by the end of the night, it's just not fun anymore, right? It's not fun for anybody at that point. So we want everybody, we want to set everybody up for success. That's the goal.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, we are in the festive time, right? Everyone's having their holiday parties, Christmas parties, New Year's Eve party. What are a couple tips and tricks that you would say that you've learned over the years hosting that people should be looking at if they're having 5, 10, 15, 20 people over for the holidays, whether it's cocktails or food? What should people kind of pay attention to make their lives a little easier?
Absolutely. Well, I love batching is always my very favorite thing to do. And it just becomes, it's a cost effective for the host. I just think it checks all of the boxes. And it also, I have done so much entertaining over the years, and I have found that when guests are involved in things, it it just lowers the temperature of the evening. People have more fun, they're more engaged. They might get to know someone that they didn't know before because they're making a cocktail together at the bar, or but those are always creating a bar anywhere in your house is one of my favorite things to do. And it could be, and this is why bar carts are so amazing, because you can take that bar cart anywhere in your house. Maybe you have a den that has this great big television. You can put a Christmas movie on mute in the background and set the bar up in there, and it can have all of the festivities. And then it's an area that people don't normally utilize, but you're directing how the traffic's moving through your house. Then, right? We're putting people in different spaces through how we're setting up an event, how we're setting up the traffic pattern for an event. I also love pulling things that are not maybe traditionally used for X, Y, and Z, right? So I have my great grandmother's red, the war era red glass bowl, right? That has zero place in my house any other time of the year. But when Christmas gets here, oh, it's holding all of the citrus. Just pulling things that are significant to you or mean something to you, or are whimsical, or whatever, to use in new ways is always fun, I think. And I am a hoarder. I mean, I'm a collector. But I can't go into consignment shops or secondhand shops because I come home with a set of 20 glasses every damn time. I'm like, I don't know where these are going, but yeah, that's fun to set up with bar situations and entertaining. And batching cocktails is so easy. We turn ounces into parts. That's how we do it. So if it's a 2-ounce pour, we're going to turn it into 2 parts. That part can be cups, quarts, gallons, barrels, I don't care. And then at the end of the recipe, to account for the dilution that we would have in either a stirred or shaken cocktail, we're going to add a 1/4 part of water to the batch. And so you can batch anything that has a recipe, you can batch it. And it just takes the pressure off of everything throughout the evening. You don't have 1,000 things to do anymore, and folks are able to pour whatever they'd like. So,
yeah. Well, and we've done that a little bit. We hosted a derby party this year, and we had batched margaritas and batched palomas. Those went over very well, and I didn't feel like I was sitting there. Now, when they all ran out, they were like, "Hey, Jake, can you make some more?" I was like, "Well, exactly. These are going to be one-offs because I don't have enough to batch a whole."
According to my calculations.
According to my calculations, that's right. A famous last word.
You drank all of my tequila and grapefruit juice. But I do agree. I think that
turning things into bars too, like a spritz bar or a julep bar or a margarita bar, or like we can have just margarita base, just a traditional margarita, but you can also muddle strawberries or muddle blackberries or muddle cucumbers or whatever it is that you want in there, and then top it with that, and then we have something different, right? Same thing with spritzes. We can have 4 or 5 different liqueurs or amaros or whatever we want there, juices, and let folks pick and choose how to do their cocktails.
That's very true. And one of the things, we just had Di Serono on a little bit ago, and like I could see that working well just in a nice little spritz. And that cherry flavor, especially for the holidays, I think goes hand in hand.
Yes, they do. It's so good. So good.
Now I think I'm going to make that this weekend.
Now you need one.
Yeah. I was like, what am I going to use this for?
So many yummy things.
Yeah, exactly. Scott, you have any parting shots for Jennifer?
Wow. I mean, this has been helpful.
It is.
Good.
For two bourbon neat drinkers, traditionally. I mean, it's always fun to entertain, and it's always fun to show off a creation, right? Like, this is the cocktail that I made. This is what I made, and serve it to friends or family, So taking the pressure off of some of that is always critical, because
it is.
It's always like, oh, are they going to like it? It's like, well, you've tested it and you've, made it multiple times, and now you just recreate it based upon the recipe. And,
that's right.
It's repetitive.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll leave everyone with this. Go buy the book. It's right here. classic cocktail revival. Even someone like me with my Kentucky education through and throughout can enjoy this and learn a lot. So I think you all will too.
It's a picture book.
It is a picture book. That's my favorite. It's what I read to my son and myself at night.
I love it.
And here's a nice, beautiful picture. I turned to an old fashioned, thank God, because if it was a Manhattan, I would have edited that out.
Got it bookmarked.
I got a bookmark.
That's right. That's right.
The original classic cocktail. But Jennifer, thank you for spending a few minutes with us.
Thank you all so much.
Happy
I
holidays,
appreciate it.
and
Yes.
go buy the book. Cheers.
Thank you all. Appreciate you. Cheers, y'all.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bourbon Lens. Make sure you're connected with Scott and I via social media on Instagram, X, and Facebook. We'd love to connect. And if you're more the professional type, follow us over on LinkedIn. If you want to know more about Bourbon Lens, make sure you're subscribed to our weekly newsletter, The Weekly Pour. For exclusive content and more, check out Patreon. Follow us there at Bourbon Lens. And last but not least, on your favorite podcast listening app, make sure you're subscribed because every Monday, Scott and I release a podcast, and we would love to have you here listening to the newest features and the newest whiskey news. And until next time, cheers.